You know what we need to do now? We need to tie this whole thing together because we have a page, but have we really tested it? I mean, we've looked at it, we can fill it in, but is it really going to work when we submit it, but we don't have the CGI scripts we need for our own site yet? There are sites out there that allow you to test for free. I'm going to turn you on to one of them, one that I like. There are others out there. Go into your Pages folder, and I want you to select the last file, Form A3HTML. Double-click and open it. Now, it looks very much like the one that we just did, and it is, except it does have a new line of text down here. Let's do two things. Let's create a very down and dirty, quick way to validate some of the information on this site and then go ahead and test it. Let's start with the validation. I want you to do this. Click on the actual form, that line right here that represents the form. Now, you'll see it come up here, which means you've got it selected. I want you to go into your tag inspector and go into behaviors. And we're going to have a whole chapter on behaviors. We're just going to do one here. Click the plus sign right here and go down to validate form. It's pretty cool, actually. Here are all the fields. Well, let's say for input name, that's required. They have to put their name in there. Now, we'd require probably all the fields, but we'll stop with just that one to show you how this works. And let's go down to zip codes. In the U.S., zip codes are all numbers. There are no letters of the alphabet in U.S. zip codes, so we're going to say they must be numbers. We could even put in a certain number from to if you wanted to. In other words, we can do simple validation on this form. We did two things. Click OK. Now that the validation is ready to go, where do we go next? What do we do next? Come down here and select this part of that sentence. Click and drag across it. Press Control-C. Now remember the shortcuts. Control-C copies and Control-V pastes. What I'm going to do is press Control-C, the shortcut. Then I'm going to make sure I've selected the form again. I'll come down here. Let me blow this up. I want you to see this. Make sure you do. Come into the action area and then press Control-V. And it should look exactly like that. HTTP tipjar.com is a free testing service for forms. And that's all this is. We've got that in our action. In other words, the action is what happens when we submit. Let's go ahead and come back down. Don't forget to save it. Come up to our magic globe and go down to Safari, or whatever browser you're using. Let's start out by testing our validation. Now, we know we have to put the name in because we said required, and we said zip codes must have numbers. So we'll do this. No name. Watch what happens when I click submit. The following errors occurred. Name is required. Zip must contain a number. So what we'll do is click OK. Andy. Notice it's trying to fill it out for me. If I press the tab key, it will. If I don't want it to, I can click down here and type in whatever I want. And city, state, and zip. Of course, that's Wichita for me. And see, it's still trying to do it. I press the tab key. And of course, zip, if we leave it like that, it's going to be a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And tell us about yourself. I am a legend in my own mind. ... I am a male. Now watch what happens when we submit. It's going here. Now I like this site because it gives me a whole lot of information. But this is the stuff that we're interested in down here. See? It worked. There's my name, my fictitious address, everything that I put in there. In other words, we have successfully tested all the work that we have done in this chapter with this one test site. There's others out there. I like this one the best. Let's go ahead and close that and come back out again. So what we've done here basically is we've created a form and we've actually gone through the process of testing it and even validating it. Let's put a cap on this by talking a little bit about a subject called mail scripts. If I had a nickel for every time I was asked how to do that. It's a very complex issue, number one. Okay, we can't really get into a lot about it, but I don't want to leave you hanging. I hate it when I leave people hanging. Think of it this way. When you're working with mail scripts, it involves, in most cases, server-side scripting, setting up servers correctly to handle the information, bunch of stuff you have to do, and after you've done all that, guess what? You can still be open to vulnerabilities, hacking and cracking, and all those other things that are going on. In many cases, though, the good news is free server-side scripts are provided by the internet service providers that you're working through. And their range, I want to tell you, they've got as many as there are people on this planet. There are billions of those things out there probably. It'd be impossible to cover them all in one single tutorial. However, if you want trouble-free and reliable ways to run them and run a form through an email script, there are actually services that will offer this for you. And one of them is formmail.com. Now, what they do, and I love this, is they allow you to send your form data to their server. And hey, guess what that does? They handle security. No security issues for me or you. It's a big load off my mind, I want to tell you. But I'll mention one other thing here. If you really want some good information on this, check out Infinite Skills. Number one, their PHP videos are just absolutely amazing. If you want to go to the next step in working with mail clients and that is the place to start, I promise you. Well, that's about it for now. So I'll tell you what, let's just keep the faith and go on to the next chapter.